So I wanted to revisit the sleep systems that I've been using. And unfortunately I can't splice together videos with my new video camera yet. So I'm going to have this broken up into 3 parts. I'm going to show the mats that I use, the bags that I use, and then have everything compressed down and talk a little bit about weight. When choosing a mat, it's really important to understand that it's not about fluff and luxury. You know, this is your insulative layer against the ground, especially as you get into the colder climates. With that said, it comes down mainly to where do you live and what are you going to be using it for how long. When I first got into backpacking, I lived in British Columbia, and I got really into these Exped down mats. Now, these mats are welded inflatable mats, but inside all of the baffles, they're filled with 900 fill goose down, and they just incredible insulators, you know, and I've used these out on Heckle Island and in places that are just completely cold, and never had any sort of issue with, you know, loss of contact to the ground. I had one of the originals of these, and they've fixed a design flaw. They used to have a twist valve, much like the Thermarest, which simply weren't as durable. Now they have a cord foam with an integrated pump. You pump it up like this, put a little bit of air in there, and in doing that, the air has to travel through the foam on both sides of it, as well as a full foam block here, which keeps any dirt, grits, or anything else out from there, as well as out of the pump workings. So that's going to add to the durability of it. Actually, Echo used this exact mat on the Pacific Crest Trail in the colder areas, and was very happy with it. The downside to them is they're extremely heavy for a mat, especially some of the newer ultralight stuff that's coming out. But if what you need is warmth and you're not as worried about being ultralight, I highly recommend these. You know, they range $135 to $170, a little bit of an investment. Anything with that high quality of down is, but they do have a lifetime warranty. When I wore out my original Exped, they replaced it, no questions asked, with a brand new one. Going a little lighter for people who are going to be camping where it's not going to be 20 below. One of the probably the most common mat on the market, and I can't even count the places I've used this, is one of those self-inflating Thermarests. Thermarest is made by Cascade Designs, same brand as MSR, Platypus. An excellent company, made in America, and really stands by their stuff. So these are the twist valves, but you do have to be careful about keeping clean. And these will eventually wear down the rubber gaskets if you're constantly grinding these shut and open with dirt and sand in there. With that said, very easy to use, relatively lightweight. I believe this one is 14 ounces. This is a short model. All of mine are, and I'll get into that in just a second. Nice thing about this, you open it up, you leave the valves open, about a half an hour, it inflates itself almost all the way. If you want a real insulating, like good R value, you want your mats to be as hard as possible. And in doing that, I usually give it 1 or 2 puffs of breath, you know, just right after it's already inflated itself, and you're good to go. Very easy to use, relatively lightweight, and extremely affordable. You can get these for $70 to $80, depending where you shop. Again, lifetime warranty, extremely durable material, real thick, and has an R value of 3, which I didn't mention. These have an R value of 6.5. Moving on to the latest and greatest, and I really mean greatest because I'm extremely happy with this for a lot of reasons. This is the Thermarest Neo Air. Again, Thermarest, great brand, stands by their stuff. This is a real breakthrough. There is no insulation inside. It doesn't have the foam, it doesn't have the down. What it has is basically this reflective material in multiple baffles. So it's multiple layers of the heat being reflected back up at you and the cold being reflected back down to the earth. That said, it's not going to be as warm as either of these. You're talking about an R value of 2.2 to 2.4, depending who you believe. Has the twist valves, keep them clean, but you know what? They really don't fail if you take a little bit of care with them. This does not inflate itself at all. You have to blow it up. It's about 15 breaths, and if you're up at 12,000 foot, that's puffing. Extremely lightweight. You know, by far the lightest mat on the market. This is 7 ounces. You're not going to come anywhere close to that with anything else. It's $130 for the short version. I've been extremely happy with it. When you see it compressed, it compresses down, I mean, almost to the size of a Coke can. The other thing that I really love about it is definitely the most comfortable. And I know it wouldn't seem like it, but because it has so many layers of baffles chambering like that inside, the air is much more still than in either one of these. And it really just provides a great night's sleep. It's extra thick, despite being lighter weight than any of them. You know, it's a 2.5 inch thick mat, the same as these down mats. It's a 1.5 inch thick mat. When you try your mats, blow them up, lay them at the store, then go over to the keychain aisle or Muritz or something and throw a bunch of stuff under there, you know, like rocks. Laminate it like that, and then you get a really good feel for it. You know, those people on a 1-inch mat, you better have some pretty good camping spots, you know, if you're going to plan to have a good night's sleep on that. This 2.5 inches thick, you just never even feel those keychains underneath it. So these are my sleep systems. This is definitely what I recommend to anybody if you're going to be camping anywhere where it's not going to be, you know, 20 below. And if it's really going to be that cold, have a bag that's made for it, and you're going to be fine with something like this. With that said, of course, we have the foam rolls, and there's a million different kinds of them. All of my mats are the short style, and I always carry a little piece of foam roll. Now, you can have them this size, you can just cut them down right small enough for your ankle. Just to have a little piece there if it's too cold. Now, if it's that cold, my feet are up on my pack in the tent. You know, and if it's extremely icy or you're on really hard granite, you can always stick these underneath for a little extra layer. Just a couple of ounces. Now, this thing, in its full rolled out size, is going to be 17 ounces. It's actually quite a lot, but it's indestructible. People in survival situations, people who cannot afford to have their gear fail, you really should consider a foam roll. If you do, I highly recommend the Ridge Rest. You know, the Ridges are so much better than the Thermarest Z-Lite. The Z-Lite just packs down to nothing within a couple 100 miles. And the green foam rolls, the ones that don't have any texture to them at all, you really feel the ground a lot more through them. So what I carry is a short mat. This is a really cold one of these. A small piece of this for under my feet. The other nice thing about having this, it's on the outside of my pack. And when I stop for lunches or breaks or anything like that, you know, it's right there on the outside of your pack. Sit down on, you know, granite or anywhere you're mountain climbing, or if you're even in the snow, keep a little bit drier, a little bit cleaner. And that's a big deal when you can't wash your clothes, you know, for weeks at a time. So anyway, thanks for watching. These are my sleep systems, and if you'll tune with me, we're going to move on to bags.